Hey everybody, I'm here to talk today about books, and I pulled a handful of my favorite herbal books and I wanted to share them with you and just give you a little bit of a guiding light if you're trying to either begin your journey with herbalism, step up your journey with herbalism, or just learn more about plants in general. I picked out some of my favorite books and perhaps they will help you. So let's get started. Okay, first one here is a book called Healing Wise by a woman named Susan Weed. Susan Weed has been in the mainstream herbal community for many years. She is a controversial figure. Some people love her, some people hate her, some people are neutral on her. I kind of fall in between. I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And because of that, I just really value her information, and I don't agree with 100% of what she does or says, but you know, that's life. But this book is one of the first books I ever purchased when I began studying herbalism. And one of the things I really love about it is that she goes over very common weeds that can be found pretty much anywhere, and she has recipes for how to work with them. She goes through the description of them, their medicinal properties, how you can turn them into medicine, and most importantly, food. That's one of her biggest things. Her biggest thing she harps on is nourishment, and the fact that if you nourish yourself, you basically can nourish yourself back to health. And that's one of the things I love about her. She's not one of these people who's pushing a lot of supplements on people or external sort of like savior sort of things. She's very much rooted in the fact that the things that grow around you are the things that you need, and 9 times out of 10, the things you're drawn to in the herbal or plant world are the things that you really need and the things that can actually really help heal you. She has some really great recipes, not only for like creams and salves and stuff like that, but the food. So like, for example, she has like a nettle pesto in here. She has nettle soup in here. She has burdock, how to use burdock root in soups. All sorts of stuff. Herbal infusions, one of her big things. She has a great chart. It's called the 3 Traditions of Healing. She made this chart. This chart is the reason I bought this book. So if you can find this one, I highly recommend it, and I don't think you'll go wrong. It's a great place to start. This one here, Under the Witching Tree by Corrine Boyer. This is all about tree medicine, tree magic, tree wisdom, and tree folklore. This lady is incredible. I really love her demeanor. I love the way she writes. I love her knowledge and how she shares it. She really goes into a lot of the magical properties of trees and a lot of the folk traditions and how trees are used just in ritual, with magic, how they can be used as charms and things like that. It's really a great book. She also has a huge section in the back on how to make things, okay? Salves and creams, wine, mead. She talks about fermentation. She has just a huge knowledge base, and I highly recommend this book if you're looking for something that's a little bit more on the magical, esoteric side. Corrine Boyer is a really good source for that. She has a couple of other books that I really enjoy as well, but this one here is the first one that I read of hers, and I really enjoy it. Okay, moving on, we have Herbal Recipes for Vibrant Health. This is by a woman named Rosemary Gladstar. She's in the same category as Susan Weed when it comes to being kind of like a pioneer in the herbal movement. Some people call her the godmother of herbalism. And this book is a must-have for anybody who really wants to start making their own remedies. And I'm talking like everything, like jams and jellies, cough syrups, cordials. She has recipes for like dandelion fritters and all sorts of stuff. You know, she has just it's one of the most comprehensive herbal recipe books that I've ever come across. For example, we have baby powder, baby bath herbs, baby oil. You know, for the whole family, she takes the whole family into consideration. And I've just always really loved this book, and I think it's such a great great resource. And yeah, anybody who wants to start making their own stuff and stocking their own cabinets with herbal remedies, check this one out. Next on the recipe book, we have The Cannabis Spa at Home by Sandra Hinchcliffe. Great book, especially if you do like working with cannabis and you want to expand your makings with cannabis. This is a great book because she goes into things like cold creams and special bath elixirs. She also has recipes for tea. So basically she is showing you how you can make your own products to have a cannabis spa at home. So everywhere from, you know, facial steams and the cream to drinking tea while you're soaking your feet in a cannabis foot bath. This is a wonderful book, and she talks about all of the details that you need to know on how to prepare your cannabis correctly by decarbing it, you know, and what's the difference between an infused oil and an infused oil made with Rick Simpson oil, which is a highly concentrated cannabis oil that's extracted using alcohol that's evaporated off of it, and then you're left with a very resinous, sticky substance that you can use to infuse oils and things like that. You can also take it manually, but she talks about all the differences between those things, how to apply them, and it's lovely. I freaking love this book. She also has a section on like the best oils to use with cannabis and why, and she's very thorough. This is a great one. I love that it's hardcover too, because when you're working with it, you can like lay it open on your table, and it's just really great. She even has a recipe for how to make your own soap using soap nuts, which I'm not going to explain fully here, but basically the concept is that there are nuts that create lathering. There's lathering agents in them, and you can use them for laundry, but you can also use them to make like shampoos and stuff like that. So The Cannabis Spa at Home, one of my favorites. All right, I've mentioned these two books before, but I'm going to mention them again for people who maybe didn't see my last video. A Modern Herbal by Miss M. Grieves. This is a 2-volume book. It's lovely. It is one of the most comprehensive resource or reference books in the herbal world, in my opinion, because it is like an A through Z just extravaganza of herbal knowledge. This book was written back in the 30s. You know, so there's illustrations in here. So there are really rustic recipes, but there's also, you know, like more modernized recipes in here. I mean, we have cucumber, and then here's cowslip, and we have just every herb and plant you can think of is kind of in here. And she goes through why you want to use them, how to cultivate them, the medicinal actions and uses. The list goes on. These are great. If you ever see them at a bookstore and you have any, even the smallest interest in plants, or you know somebody that's interested in plants, pick them up because they're invaluable. All right, now we have The Book of Herbal Wisdom by Matthew Wood. This is a really, really great one. It's a big one. I read this cover to cover because it was so interesting, and I was learning almost every sentence I read, I learned something. And Matthew Wood just has a magnificent way of writing and expressing himself. He shares a lot of his own personal experience working with clients, and he was an apprentice at a chiropractic office for I don't know how many years, but a lot of his experience, a lot of the things he writes about was his time there, and when he began working with clients and how he was able to get to the root of a lot of people's issues that they were coming in with by doing something that's called working with someone's constitution. We all have our own constitution. There's way too much to go into it in this video. This is just a book recommendation video. But basically the concept is that because everybody's isn't their own individual plants and remedies work differently on everybody, and there's many factors that go into it. So does the person typically run hot? Do they have dry skin? Do they have oily skin? Does their tongue look healthy? What shape is their tongue? All of these things are played in to an herbal diagnosis if you're talking to somebody that's that would call themselves a vitalist herbalist. It's more of a holistic way of looking at the human body and the human condition and how certain remedies will work differently with individuals. Matthew Wood is one of the greatest people that I've ever come across to talk about this, and I just love the way he writes. He has a sense of humor and he's very knowledgeable. He goes through many different herbs, so I mean, just it's herb by herb basically, and I would assume he picked out some of his very favorites that he really loves to work with. So for example, we have cleavers. Some people call it sticky grass. It's the stuff that grows and it will stick to you as you walk past. And this is a really great herb for the lymphatic system. Just to show you, I've actually been working with cleavers lately personally for my own personal uses, and you can just even see how it grows. Look at how it is. It almost looks like the lymphatic system, parts of it, when you look at it from a distance. So he also goes into that. He's a really big advocate for the doctrine of signatures. He has an extensive chapter on that, and I love it. This is one of my favorite books, and it is one of the books that if I had to recommend like one book or two books or whatever, this would be one of them, along with the Modern Herbal. If you had those books around and that's all you could have, you have like knowledge for days. So that's a great one. Okay, this one's a little different. This one's it's a different subject a little bit, but still dealing with herbs. So Sacred and Herbal Healing Beers. Okay, this is by Stefan Brunner. This is an awesome book if you're into natural fermentation and the history of herbal beers and mead and wine and how it was actually used as medicine back in the day. It wasn't, they didn't consume alcohol the same way we consume it now. I mean, from what I'm gathering just by reading this book alone, beers and things, I don't think they were intended to be drunk slamming with beer bongs and things like that. They were brewed with intention to be stored, to be used as medicine. So this book, I mean, the thing I opened up to was Wild Carrot Seed Ale. There you go. So, I mean, just open your mind, and when you open this book, you'll kind of be blown away by how many different types of beers you can make with all sorts of stuff that you might have never even thought of. Okay, I made a sage ale, and I used the recipe in this book. I made it last year, and it's freaking delicious. I don't drink very often, and so I just have this calling though to like want to ferment things, but I will every once in a while partake. And drinking the sage ale, you can feel the medicine in it, and it's almost one of those things where it's like you don't want to drink a lot of it, you just want a little bit, and that's how they would use it. So anyway, this is just a really great book, and he actually also will have like a section on the herb and what it's good for and its uses and things like that, and then he'll go through and share the recipes with you. He's got recipes from, I mean, like 1695, that's one of the recipes, and then he'll have like a more modernized version, but a lot of them are just so simple. It's amazing. So I bought this at a brewing store. So if the brewer that is working at the store kind of has their minds open to things, you might be able to find it somewhere like that. But I'm sure you can purchase it online. This one is great if you're interested in fermentation on any level. Last but not least, this book is a little bit more advanced. It's also a little bit more spendy, but it is, I'm very happy I have it because I learned a lot from it. This is the Practicing Herbalist by Margi Flint. Okay, I bought this when I saw her. I've seen her a couple times in Portland, but one of her big things is what's called facial diagnosis. So that is the concept that everything on your face, our skin, our fingernails, the lines on your face, they all mean something. Every single one of them. And I believe it because I've had my face diagnosed by her, just little lines on my forehead. That usually indicates digestive issues, which this gal has. Okay, there's lines that will come here that means something. If you get a breakout on your chin during ovulation, that might indicate something. Crow's feet on the eyes, that indicates something. A lot of times wrinkles are looked at as a bad thing, but you know, wrinkles can actually help you to pinpoint issues that might be going on in your body. Even skin tone matters and all sorts of stuff. So she has a whole section on that, but this is such a great book because if you're wanting to understand how you can effectively run an herbal practice, this book is great. She goes through everything, like how you can organize your office. What's the best way to line up your room? How do you start seeing clients? What types of questions should you ask clients? So this is a book for somebody who might want to pursue clinical herbalism, which is something that I thought I wanted to do a handful of years ago, but kind of figured out that's not 100% my path, but I so appreciate it. And I've learned so much from this. Another book, I mean, I've read this cover to cover because I just knew there was going to be so many nuggets in here. And she has all sorts of protocols in here for things like Lyme's disease, which is really interesting. She talks a lot about mushrooms. She has a whole chapter on mushrooms that is very, very, very valuable. I just love this book. It took her 9 years to write this book, and so I know she's very excited that it's out, and she has these beautiful quotes that are done in calligraphy throughout the book. And she also has a section where she does go through, she has drawings of the lines and what they might mean. So even like, you know, we have dandruff here, that means something, the way that the eyebrows are, the ears, asymmetrical versus symmetrical. It's amazing. She also works a lot with Matthew Wood, the author of a book of herbal wisdom. So they're really close friends, and they both have that same wavelength of being more vitalist herbalists, where they can like look at your constitution and help you find the remedies that you need. So I hope that these books inspire you to check them out. And if you have any of these books, or if you maybe have a suggestion for me, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And if this helps you out, I'm stoked to hear it. And I hope that these books bring you herbal knowledge and confidence in yourself and in your ability to make your own medicine, to heal yourself, and help the others around you who want to heal do the same. Take care.